let's continue with this focus now. And I'm joined by Patrick O'Leary, editor of Fleet Watch Truck magazine. Patrick, thank you very much for joining us. We're hearing quite a few different things coming from our reporters. Tragically, though, one person has now died. A truck driver, it seems, burnt in their truck. Utterly horrific. Clearly, there's a very strong criminal element. The truck drivers protesting about the high amount of foreigners in the workforce say it's not them. So what motive would there be in setting a truck alight with someone in the truck still?
You know, this is something that I can never understand. I must say the ATDF initially does have some points. I would like to change the foreign drivers to legal and illegal drivers. That's what I'd like to clear up first, because some foreign drivers are operating very legally in South Africa. They have the right documentation and all that. So it's not all foreign drivers that should be targeted. They are legally here. And then there are some operators who do employ illegal drivers. They don't go through the paperwork. They don't join the UIF. They pay them lousy wages. So the industry needs some real strict regulation and inspection. But what would cause them to burn a truck? I just want to tell you, that truck, that's a tragic story. That driver was shot twice. His truck was shot twice. He then got out of his door. He ran away. They shot him 2 times again. He fell onto the ground. They poured petrol onto him and they burnt him. It wasn't a foreign driver. It was a local driver. That's a family man. He's got wife and kids. What makes him do that? I don't know. It's just something I can never understand, the type of violence that we've seen in South Africa on many fronts. And I totally condemn this type of violence. It takes away the full message of what the ATDF might be trying to get across. And it just makes everybody angry. And the trucking industry now has a role to protect its drivers.
And it's interesting because, as you say, they have got a point that there are some illegal foreign drivers employed by local trucking companies, and they're clearly open to exploitation because they're not registered, so they have absolutely no leverage in the workplace, probably have to accept whatever wages they are given. They also say...
Sorry, if I'm...
Yes, sure, go for it.
Yeah. No, you know, Zimbabwe is crippled as an economy, so a lot of Zimbabwe people are down here, and they're actually quite good drivers, Zimbabwe. They've been driving, you know, on trucks that are held together for sticky tape for years. But they're unemployed, they come down here, and they will take lower wages. They will allow themselves to be exploited. We have done surveys on the road, hands-on. We go out on the road. We're truck drivers, we've done a driver fatigue survey. And truck drivers, some foreign, illegal, they've been driving for 22 hours. You know, and that's such a danger to you and me on the road. So there are those people there, and there has been an influx from Mozambique as well, and there are operators who exploit it.
Some of the truck drivers have told our reporters today that they feel betrayed by government, and I'm wondering if they have a point. What is the Department of Labour doing? What is the Department of Transport doing? And have they failed?
I think they failed dismally. I think the drivers had an absolute strong point. For 2 years, this started. The first attacks took place in Moiraba in 2018. I was on the scene there. And that's when the name ATDF came, and the first sign, it was a little cardboard sign on the bridge, "Do away with foreigners." And that's when it first raised its head. There'd been meetings since then, numerous meetings. I remember there was one in Durban with the Minister of Police, Minister of Transport, Minister of Home Affairs, and Minister of Labour. Those are the 4 departments that are involved in this problem. And they said they're going to do something. They've had meetings with ATDF, even their former leaders, Sipho Zongo and that, and they've never got back to them. They haven't. I see today the MEC of Transport in KwaZulu-Natal is holding an urgent meeting with stakeholders to discuss the attacks on trucks. And he's going to escalate it to higher government. This should have been escalated 3-4 years ago. Should have been escalated. We've been waiting for some kind of outcome from the government. So I think they have been let down, and I do understand a lot of the frustration of some of those drivers who see maybe their jobs going to foreigners, and they're getting no feedback from government, and now government's going to meet again. Stop the meeting and get the action in place. Come back with solid action plan to tackle illegal and legal drivers. And they're not doing that.
How long before...
They talk, no action.
How long before what's happening in the trucking industry impacts, I mean, you mentioned the road safety issue. Truck drivers, many of them foreign and illegal, not all of them, of course, being exploited, driving for over 20 hours. That is a menace on the roads, A. But how long before it impacts our supermarkets and the delivery of goods and foods around the country?
Well, you know, what is quite scary is that the operators are now getting really, and the drivers and the operators, let's put them together, they're a team. They're really getting tired of this, and they're scared. The drivers are running scared. Okay, who knows what's going to happen tonight? You take your truck out, you're delivering goods, you're delivering baby nappies. My grandson came home today. Hey, how about that? He needs baby nappies, and the trucker is going to get burnt tonight. His nappies ain't going to arrive in the morning. But those drivers are scared, and they actually getting hot for, and so are the operators. And there's even talk of the transport operating industry staging its own shutdown. Now, let me tell you, within 24 hours, if they do that, there'll be no medicines, there'll be no fuel at stations, there'll be no ATMs, banks won't be able to conduct transactions, there'll be no bread in 3 days, there'll be no medicines, there'll be no oxygen delivered to the hospitals for the COVID-19 patients and for normal operations. There will be no anything, because everything, 90% of goods in South Africa moves by trucks. The only wheels in South Africa that are moving at the moment, because of the dismal performance of rail, I think there the management, as we've seen through state capture, was more interested in dipping their hands into the till than getting the trains running. And so it's not working. And that is affecting the country as well. The only wheels we have to keep this economy going, to keep supplying the consumer, to keep supplying the hospitals, to keep supplying everybody, the petrol, you name it, that goes by truck, is the trucking industry. Now, you stop that, and within 2 days, you have got absolute shortages till eventually the supermarket shelves run dry. You've seen that in Zimbabwe. Not when the truck stopped, the whole economy stopped up there. But that's what's going to happen. And no one recognizes the importance of the trucking industry as a vital cog in the economy.
And you've explained it so incredibly well. This is a problem for all of us. And thank you so much for highlighting such critical issues, Patrick O'Leary, editor of Fleet Watch Truck magazine.